What if I told you? Your life isn't stuck because of laziness. It's stuck because you don't have a system. You don't need more motivation. You don't need another productivity app. You don't need someone yelling at you to try harder. You need structure. Because right now, you're waking up and winging it. You're reacting instead of leading. You're fighting the same battles over and over again, hoping this time it'll feel different. But feelings don't change lives. Systems do. The truth? Most people don't fail because they're not capable. They fail because their days are built on emotion, not design. If you're tired of starting over, if you're tired of setting goals and breaking them, if you're tired of watching others build while you feel stuck on pause, then this audiobook is for you. This is not a hype session. This is not a highlight reel. This is warfare against distraction. Blueprints for consistency. A step-by-step guide to finally becoming someone who doesn't quit. Because your problem isn't that you don't want change. Your problem is that you keep trying to change without a system. So listen closely. Apply ruthlessly. And if you do, this won't just be another video. This will be the system that finally changes your life. Most people live in reaction mode. They wake up and instantly get pulled into the chaos of the day. Notifications, messages, demands. They all flood in before the mind has even had a chance to think clearly. And so begins another day ruled by randomness. No system. No intention. Just survival. But here's the truth. If you don't design your days will design you. And what they design is rarely what you want. Look at the pattern. You start the day late, already behind. You're rushed. You skip the things that matter, your goals, your priorities, because your attention is hijacked by whatever screams the loudest. You check your phone. You check your email. You check the clock. And when the day ends, you wonder, what did I actually accomplish? This is not because you're lazy. It's not because you're undisciplined. It's because you're unstructured. You're depending on willpower when you should be depending on design. Systems change lives, not motivation. Not hype. Not a morning coffee and a motivational podcast. Systems. A system is a commitment. A promise to yourself that you will not live passively. That you will not wake up each day hoping for discipline to magically appear. A system is a structure that holds your priorities even when your emotions can't. And the first system you must build is how you start your day. Hashtag the power of the first hour. The first hour of your day isn't just a routine. It's a declaration. It sets the tone for everything that follows.
Hi, this is just a quick moment. If this audiobook is helping you in any way, please consider subscribing to this channel. It really helps me keep creating powerful stories like this, ones that make us pause, reflect, and grow stronger. A simple like, a comment, or sharing this with one friend can make a real difference. Not just for the channel, but for someone who might desperately need this message today. So thank you for being here. Let's keep building something meaningful together. Now, back to the journey.
One question. What kind of person do I want to be today? Not in some vague, distant sense. Right now. In these next 24 hours. You define that. You decide. And then you reverse engineer your day to reflect it. Because your calendar is a reflection of your values. If you say you value growth but your schedule is filled with distraction and randomness, there's a mismatch. A system fixes that. A system brings your values to life. Hashtag why most people stay stuck. It's not that they don't want to change. It's that they don't know how to structure their lives in a way that supports that change. They start strong. Maybe they write goals, make to-do lists, buy planners. But there's no framework. No consistency. No foundation. And so when life gets loud, when stress hits, when motivation dips, they go back to default mode. They react. They cope. They survive. And the growth they were chasing slips through their fingers again. This is the cycle that keeps people stuck. Enthusiasm, effort, chaos, burnout, reset, repeat. You break that cycle not by trying harder, but by thinking smarter. By building a system that doesn't depend on how you feel in the moment. Because feelings are fickle. Some days you'll feel inspired. Others exhausted. But your system doesn't care. Your system says, "This is what we do, no matter what." That consistency becomes your edge. That routine becomes your power. #discipline begins with design. Discipline is not some magical character trait reserved for high performers. It's not something you either have or don't have. Discipline is a byproduct of clarity. When you know exactly what matters, and when you've removed everything that doesn't, you don't need to debate every decision. You don't need to wait for inspiration. You act. You follow the plan. You lead the day instead of letting the day lead you. But here's the mistake most people make. They confuse structure with restriction. They think building a system means losing freedom. In reality, the opposite is true. Chaos is what steals your freedom. Confusion, indecision, distraction, that's what chains you. That's what keeps you running in place. Structure is the tool that liberates you. When your days are designed around your highest priorities, your time expands. Your energy improves. Your decisions sharpen. Freedom doesn't come from having no rules. It comes from living by the right ones. #start simple. Start now. Don't wait until you have a perfect plan. Don't try to rebuild your entire life in one weekend. Start small. Pick one anchor for your day. One commitment you will not break. One routine you will follow, no matter how you feel. It could be as simple as waking up at the same time every morning. Or journaling for 10 minutes before checking your phone. Or reviewing your goals with your coffee instead of scrolling headlines. What matters is not the size of the action. What matters is the consistency. The habit of following through. Because when you start keeping small promises to yourself, you start building trust with yourself. And that trust is what turns a system into a lifestyle. You don't need another motivational video. You need to take control of your calendar. You need to claim the first hour of your day as your own. You need to stop drifting and start designing. Build a morning system. Protect it. Refine it. And then build from there. Stack routines. Create checkpoints. Review and reset when needed. But never go back to living without structure. That version of you is done. This is not about being busy. This is not about doing more. This is about doing the right things. Every single day. Until your life reflects the design you've chosen. Not the distractions you've tolerated. So start with today. Take back the first hour. Make it intentional. Make it yours. Because if you can own your morning, you can own your day. And if you can own your day, you can own your future. The reason most people never feel in control of their lives isn't because they lack ambition. It's because they lack rhythm. They drift from one day to the next, carried by circumstance rather than intention. Their schedules are built on reaction, not design. Their focus is stolen, not protected. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, they forget what it feels like to be in command of their own time. But here's the secret no one talks about. Life isn't changed by intensity. It's changed by rhythm. Not the bursts of motivation. Not the once-in-a-while grind sessions. Not the loud declarations of change. It's the quiet, steady beat of a life lived in rhythm that rewires everything. And rhythm isn't found. It's built. #why rhythm matters more than hustle. Hustle burns bright, but burns out. Rhythm burns clean, and it lasts. When your day has a clear rhythm, you stop living in decision fatigue. You know when to work. You know when to rest. You know when to push and when to pull back. That predictability isn't boring. It's liberating. Because it frees up your mental energy for what really matters. Ask yourself this: how much time have you wasted deciding what to do next? How often have you reached the end of the day mentally exhausted, not from doing hard work, but from bouncing between distractions, interruptions, and indecision? A rhythm eliminates that. It creates flow. It gives your brain something to rely on. And once your brain can rely on your rhythm, you start feeling grounded. That grounding leads to peace. That peace leads to focus. And that focus leads to real, meaningful progress. Hashtag design your day in blocks, not chaos. Stop thinking of your day as one long stretch of time you need to fill. That's where most people go wrong. They try to wing it. They tell themselves, I'll work when I feel ready. Or, I'll get to it sometime this afternoon. And of course, the afternoon disappears in a blur of distractions. Instead, divide your day into intentional blocks. Morning block, protect your focus. This is for deep work, creative thinking, strategic decisions. No social media. No email. Just progress. Midday block, handle communication, meetings, errands, or collaborative tasks. Your mental clarity might dip here, so adjust the workload accordingly. Afternoon block, reserve for follow-up, lighter tasks, or personal time. Reflect. Reset. Regroup. Evening block, wind down. Journal. Disconnect from devices. Prepare for tomorrow. These blocks don't have to be rigid. They don't need to be color-coded on a perfect planner. But they need to exist. Why? Because they give your time a container. Without containers, everything bleeds together. Work invades rest. Distraction invades intention. And you never feel done. But with rhythm, everything has its place. You don't check email during deep work. You don't scroll aimlessly when you're supposed to be reflecting. You know where you are in the day, and what your energy is meant to serve. Hashtag protect the transitions. Rhythm isn't just about what you do. It's about how you move from one state to the next. The transitions between your blocks matter. How you exit one moment determines how you enter the next. Do you slam your laptop shut after work and immediately reach for your phone? Do you go from scrolling TikTok straight into a serious conversation? Do you hop from meeting to meeting without a breath in between? These fractured transitions create mental clutter. They rob you of presence. They rob you of clarity. So build rituals into your transitions. After deep work, go for a short walk. Before bed, write down 3 wins from the day. After meetings, take 60 seconds of silence. Before you open social media, take a deep breath and ask yourself, is this how I want to spend my energy? These small rituals reset your focus. They cleanse the mental palate. They help you stay sharp in a world that's constantly dulling your edge. Hashtag simplify to amplify. You don't need a complicated system. In fact, complexity is the enemy of consistency. The best rhythms are the simplest. One that your brain doesn't have to think about. One that works even when you're tired, stressed, or off balance. Start with 3 questions. 1. When do I feel most focused? That's when your most important work should happen. No compromise. 2. When do I feel most distracted? That's when you need boundaries. Phone in another room. Environment reset. Fewer decisions. 3. What actions give me the greatest ROI, mentally, emotionally, professionally? Schedule those. Every day. Non-negotiable. Once you know the answers, build your rhythm around them. And remember, rhythm is not about perfection. You will get pulled off track. Life will interrupt. Emotions will shift. But your rhythm gives you something to come back to. It's the difference between falling and staying down, and falling and bouncing back. Hashtag make it visual. Make it real. Don't keep your rhythm in your head. Write it down. Put it where you can see it. Turn it into a visual map if you have to. Because when it's visual, it becomes real. When it's real, it becomes a standard. And once it becomes a standard, it becomes part of your identity. Stick it on your mirror, your fridge, your desk. Let it remind you. This is how I move. This is how I win. Hashtag the world rewards rhythm, not randomness. High performers don't just work hard, they work consistently. Their lives move to a beat, a cadence, a system they designed, tested, refined, and defended. They don't wait for energy. They protect it. They don't hope for clarity. They create it. They don't scramble when things get busy. They rely on their rhythm. That's not luck. That's design. And it's available to you. So start building yours today. You don't need to be perfect. You just need to be predictable. To yourself. Wake up, follow your system, protect your energy, work with rhythm. Because rhythm makes progress predictable. And predictable progress makes life feel powerful again. Motivation is unreliable. There, we said it. It shows up when it wants to. Disappears when you need it most. And if you're building your life based on whether or not you're feeling it, you're going to live in a cycle of inconsistency, guilt, and starting over. But there's something more powerful than motivation. Something you can build, control, and lean on even when you feel tired, low, or uninspired. That something is habit. Not hype. Not inspiration. Habit. And when your habits are strong enough, they don't need your permission. They don't wait for your mood. They just run. They carry you forward when you don't feel like moving. They keep your progress alive when life tries to interrupt it. They hold your vision steady when everything else feels unstable. Why most habits don't stick because people overcomplicate them. They try to build 10 habits at once. They start with goals that are way too big. They tie everything to motivation and willpower. They say things like, I'll wake up at 4 a.m. every day. I'll read 50 pages a night. I'll never eat junk food again. It sounds impressive, but it's not sustainable. Because when the emotion fades, and it will fade, the habit falls apart. The discipline disappears. And they're left with guilt and excuses. Here's the truth. Sustainable habits are simple, repeatable, and identity-driven. They are not grand. They are not sexy. But they work. Design a habit so small you can't fail. Start with something you can win at, even on your worst day. That's the key. Not, can I do this when I feel good? But, can I still do this when I feel tired, behind, or stressed? If the answer is yes, you're on the right track. Here's what it looks like. Goal. Meditate daily habit. Sit in silence for 2 minutes after waking up. Goal. Read more habit. Read 1 page before bed. Goal. Work out consistently habit. Do 5 push-ups after brushing your teeth. Goal. Write every day habit. Write 1 sentence after your first cup of coffee. These are not about intensity. They're about identity. They remind your brain, this is who I am now. Even if you're tired. Even if you're distracted. Even if the day went sideways. And when you repeat that identity signal enough times, your brain stops resisting. It starts believing. And belief is what transforms a habit from an action into a lifestyle. Use triggers to automate behavior. Habits stick better when they're tied to something that already exists. This is called habit stacking, and it's one of the simplest ways to build a sustainable routine. Example: after I make coffee, I write 1 page. After I brush my teeth, I stretch for 2 minutes. After I close my laptop, I journal my wins. After I eat dinner, I prepare my to-do list for tomorrow. Why does this work? Because your brain already recognizes the trigger. You're not starting from scratch. You're anchoring new behavior to something familiar. And that makes it easier to follow through, even when you're low on energy or willpower. Want to improve your habits? Don't just think about what to do. Think about when and where you'll do it. And tie it to something solid. Make it too easy to skip. Most people wait until they have a full hour to do something. I don't have time to go to the gym, so I'll skip today. I can't write a full chapter, so I'll do it tomorrow. I don't feel like doing 30 minutes of focus, so I'll scroll instead. That mindset kills progress. Here's the shift: focus on never skipping, not on doing it perfectly. If all you can do today is 5 minutes, do 5 minutes. If all you have energy for is 1 set, do 1 set. If your mind is foggy and your body is tired, just show up. You're not trying to win the Olympics. You're trying to build consistency. And consistency wins. Because when your brain gets used to showing up no matter what, you rewire your identity. You go from I only do this when I feel motivated. 2. I do this because it's who I am. That's the shift. That's how habits stick for life. Hashtag track, don't judge, you need a scoreboard. Not a guilt board. Track your habits daily. Not to beat yourself up, but to build awareness. Use a simple calendar, a checklist, a whiteboard. Every time you complete a habit, mark it. And here's the rule, don't break the chain. Even if your performance is small, even if it feels like it doesn't matter, track it. Because what you track, you respect. And what you respect, you repeat. No more vague feelings. No more guessing. Just a visual cue that reminds you, I'm doing this. And when you miss a day, don't miss 2. Because 2 becomes 3. And 3 becomes a reset. Just get back on track. Quietly. Without drama. Like a pro. Hashtag don't rely on feeling ready. Rely on set up your environment either helps your habits or hurts them. If your phone is next to your bed, it's going to win your attention. If junk food is on the counter, you're going to eat it. If your desk is cluttered, your brain will hesitate to start. So fix the setup. Remove the friction. Put your journal where you see it at night. Lay out your workout clothes before you sleep. Use website blockers during your deep work block. Keep your reading book visible, not buried on a shelf. Make doing the right thing easier than doing the wrong thing. You don't need more willpower. You need better design. Hashtag habits aren't just actions. They're proof every time you follow through on a habit, you're not just checking a box. You're telling yourself, I follow through. You're voting for the identity you want to have. Want to be fit? Vote by exercising, even briefly. Want to be focused? Vote by starting without distractions. Want to be disciplined? Vote by keeping your own promises. And the more you vote, the stronger your self-image becomes. Eventually, it flips. You don't just have habits. You are the person who lives them. That's the goal. Not perfection. Not performance. But alignment. So build small. Build smart. Build for consistency over intensity. Because the real win isn't doing something great once. It's doing something important daily, until it's automatic. Success doesn't come from doing what you feel like. It comes from doing what you said you'd do, especially when you don't feel like it. That's the difference between people who build a life they're proud of and those who stay stuck in cycles of false starts, broken goals, and excuses. And that difference? It's called personal rules. Most people have preferences, wishes, vague intentions like, I'll try to wake up earlier. I want to work out more. I should stop wasting so much time online. But preferences don't build consistency.
Hi, this is just a quick moment. If this audiobook is helping you in any way, please consider subscribing to this channel. It really helps me keep creating powerful stories like this, ones that make us pause, reflect, and grow stronger. A simple like, a comment, or sharing this with one friend can make a real difference. Not just for the channel, but for someone who might desperately need this message today. So thank you for being here. Let's keep building something meaningful together. Now, back to the journey.
You say you'll get to the gym, but it's cold outside. You say you'll do deep work, but TikTok sounds more fun. You say you'll start that project, but you just don't feel like it today. One skipped habit turns into 2. One excuse becomes a new norm. One day off becomes the default. This is how discipline dies, not with one big decision, but with 1,000 small exceptions. And every time you allow yourself to bend the rule, your confidence weakens. You start to doubt yourself, not because you're incapable, but because you're unreliable. That internal doubt is what silently kills momentum, motivation, and identity. Hashtag why rules are more powerful than motivation. Motivation is a spark. Rules are a furnace. Motivation asks, how do I feel today? Rules declare, here's what I do, no matter how I feel. Imagine 2 people. One says, I work out when I'm motivated. The other says, I work out every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 6 a.m., no exceptions. Who wins? Not the one with better energy. Not the one who watched more motivational YouTube videos. The one with the rule. Because rules build structure. And structure builds momentum. Hashtag examples of high-impact personal rules. Don't overcomplicate them. You don't need a book of rules. You need a few that hit hard. Here are some examples that change lives. No phone until my first task is complete. Protects your focus. Owns your morning. Deep work from 9 a.m. to 11 a.m., no exceptions. Builds rhythm. Gets results. I don't skip workouts, ever. If I can't go to the gym, I train at home. Maintains discipline. Eliminates excuses. I review my week every Sunday at 7 p.m. Instills reflection. Reinforces growth. No screens after 9:30 p.m. Improves sleep. Restores clarity. Choose rules that solve your biggest problems. If distractions ruin your productivity, create rules around focus. If inconsistency breaks your progress, create rules around habit. If procrastination keeps winning, create rules around initiation. Hashtag how to set rules you'll actually follow. Here's the process. 1. Identify your repeating weakness. What behavior keeps dragging you backward? When do you usually slip? What's the excuse you keep using? 2. Turn it into a rule. Make it clear. Make it binary. You either did it or didn't. Make it daily or scheduled. No ambiguity. 3. Write it down. Don't just say it, cement it. Post it somewhere visible. 4. Build a consequence, optional. Miss your rule? Pay a $20 focus tax to a friend. Or remove something from your schedule the next day. The key isn't punishment, it's awareness. 5. Enforce it relentlessly, not 90% of the time. 100%. You're not being harsh, you're being honest. Hashtag what to do when you break a rule. It will happen. You're human. But don't hide from it. Don't negotiate with it. Don't bury it under excuses. Face it. Fast. The longer you wait to get back on track, the harder it becomes. Here's the recovery process. 1. Acknowledge it. I broke the rule. No spin. 2. Analyze it. Why did I slip? What triggered it? 3. Adjust or reinforce it. Do I need to tweak the rule or protect it better? 4. Recommit publicly to yourself. Write it down again. Say it out loud. The rule didn't fail. You slipped. And that's okay, if you fix it fast. But don't let the voice of excuse take over. The one that whispers, it's not a big deal. You'll get back to it soon. You're tired. That voice doesn't care about your future. It cares about your comfort. Hashtag identity is built through rules. Your habits shape your results. But your rules shape your identity. When you keep your rules, you feel powerful. When you ignore them, you feel scattered. When you enforce them, no matter what, you feel unstoppable. You go from, I want to be more disciplined, to, I am disciplined. From, I'm trying to be focused, to, I live with focus. Because here's the truth, you become what you enforce. Not what you hope for. Not what you read about. Not what you journal. What? You enforce. So stop letting your feelings make the final call. Give the power to your rules. Let your rules lead you through low-energy days. Let them carry you when you're not in the mood. Let them act as guardrails when the world gets noisy. They will not fail you if you refuse to abandon them. Everyone says time is their most valuable resource. Yet most people treat it like it's worthless. They check their phones the moment they wake up. They let notifications decide what gets their attention. They scramble through their to-do list without direction. They stay busy all day, but their goals stay untouched. And every night, they go to sleep exhausted, wondering where the time went. But here's the hard truth. It's not time you're lacking, it's clarity. Time doesn't disappear. It gets spent. Every single day. The only question is, did you spend it with intention, or did you give it away to distractions, noise, and emotional decisions? If you want to reclaim your life, you must first reclaim your day. And that begins with planning. Hashtag why most people don't plan, and what it costs them. Planning is boring. Planning feels rigid. Planning requires you to slow down and think. So what do most people do instead? They wake up and wing it. And that one choice, I'll figure it out as I go, is what makes their life feel chaotic. Without a plan, your attention is stolen by the loudest thing, not the most important thing. Your priorities get replaced with other people's emergencies. Your focus is fractured by endless switches from one thing to the next. And worst of all, you confuse motion with progress. You check 17 tasks off a list, but none of them moved your life forward. This is why your goals aren't happening. Not because you're lazy, but because your attention is fragmented and your effort is misdirected. Hashtag planning isn't about control. It's about freedom. Most people resist planning because they think it limits them. But planning isn't restriction, it's liberation. When your day has structure, you can relax inside it. You don't have to keep thinking, what do I need to do next? You already decided. And that decision creates space. Space to think. Space to breathe. Space to actually live. Instead of reacting all day long, planning isn't about filling every minute. It's about deciding what matters most, and making sure it gets done, before the world pulls you away. Hashtag the 3-step system to plan your day. This doesn't require a complicated journal or app. You just need 5 quiet minutes and a decision to lead your time. Here's the framework. Step 1. Identify your top 3 priorities, not your full to-do list. Just the top 3 tasks that matter most. These are the things that move your life forward, align with your long-term goals, would make you feel proud if they got done today. Write them clearly. Commit to them. Everything else is secondary. Step 2. Schedule deep work blocks. Pick your highest energy window, usually the first 2 to 3 hours of your morning, and protect it. That time is sacred. It's not for email. Not for meetings. Not for errands. It's for deep work, the kind of work that takes real focus and moves the needle. Block that time on your calendar. Turn off your notifications. Tell the world, no, this is your time to build. Step 3. Batch the rest. Put your shallow tasks, calls, emails, errands, into batches. Don't let them bleed all over your schedule. Handle them all at once, in a defined window, preferably when your energy dips later in the day. That way, you protect your best brainpower for what matters most. And here's the bonus step that separates amateurs from pros. Plan your day the night before. Before you go to bed, lay out your plan for the next day. What are your 3 priorities? What time will you do your deep work? What are your boundaries? What distractions will you say no to? This one habit changes everything. You'll sleep better. You'll wake up with direction. And your first hour won't be lost to chaos. Hashtag eliminate time leaks. Once you start planning, you'll notice something terrifying. You waste more time than you think. The scrolling. The overthinking. The task switching. The unnecessary meetings. All of it adds up, and it's stealing your future. But you can't fix what you don't track. So here's your challenge. For 1 week, track your time in 30-minute blocks. It doesn't need to be perfect. Just honest. Where is your time going? What's draining your energy? What's filling your day but starving your growth? When you see the data, you'll feel sick. Good. That's the wake-up call. Now you can reclaim it. Hashtag stop saying, I don't have time. That phrase is a lie. You do have time. You just don't have clarity. Or boundaries. Or priorities. You have time for 3 hours of scrolling. You have time for checking email 27 times a day. You have time for every distraction that screams your name. But you don't have time to build your dream? Fix that. Start owning your schedule like your life depends on it. Because it does. Hashtag time is the currency of your future. Every hour you spend today is either buying you a better tomorrow, or it's funding the version of you you're trying to outgrow. Which one are you paying for? It all comes down to planning. One intentional day leads to another. One strong week becomes momentum. 1 month of disciplined planning rewires your identity. And before you know it, you don't just look productive, you are productive. Not because you did more, but because you finally planned for what matters. Let's be honest, most people start their day by doing what feels easy, not what creates impact. They check their phone. They browse social media. They reply to messages. They shuffle some papers around. They warm up. They're moving, but not forward. And here's the cost. By the time they get to what actually matters, what will actually change their life, they're drained. Their focus is scattered. Their energy is gone. And then they say, "I'll do it tomorrow." But tomorrow turns into next week. Next week turns into regret. And regret has a pattern. It always starts with avoiding the hard thing. So let's change that. Let's build a life where you do what matters first. While your mind is sharp, your focus is fresh, and your energy is unclaimed. Because the most successful people in the world don't start their day with low-stakes tasks. They start with purpose. They start with power. And so can you. Hashtag why your brain betrays you in the morning. There's a psychological reason you're tempted to start the day with something small. It's called avoidance behavior, and it's your brain's way of tricking you into feeling productive without facing discomfort. Here's how it works. You have an important task on your list. It requires real thought, effort, and risk. Your brain senses uncertainty or discomfort, so it offers you a more comfortable alternative. Check your email, organize your desk, reply to that DM, skim an article. And because those tasks are easy to finish, your brain releases a small reward, a hit of dopamine. You feel good for a moment. But nothing important has moved. You traded progress for relief. And that trade, repeated daily, is what keeps your goals in someday mode. Energy is not the problem. Order is. People think they're too tired to do what matters. But they're not tired, they're out of order. They spend their freshest energy on things that don't matter. They waste their sharpest thinking on shallow tasks. They give away their best attention to meaningless notifications. By the time they get to their real goals, starting the business, writing the book, doing the workout, they have nothing left. That's not a discipline issue. That's a strategy issue. Fix the order, and you fix your momentum. Hashtag the golden hour. Guard it with your life. There is 1 hour each day that is more valuable than any other, your first focused hour. This is the hour before the world intrudes. Before your phone takes over. Before your responsibilities pull you in 5 directions. This is your hour to lead. To build. To create something real. And if you use that hour wisely, if you use it to push your life forward, you will feel unstoppable for the rest of the day. But if you give it away to busyness and distraction, you'll spend the rest of the day trying to catch up to your purpose. Here's what that hour should include. 1. Clarity. Revisit your top priorities. Ask, what must move forward today? 2. Focus. Eliminate all distractions. No phone. No noise. Just one task that matters. 3. Execution. Start. Don't plan. Don't tinker. Don't wait for inspiration. Start. That one act, doing something that matters first, builds momentum. It builds pride. It changes your identity. Hashtag start with the hardest, highest leverage task. Whatever you've been avoiding, start there. That task you keep moving to the bottom of your list? That's the one that builds your future. Do it while your willpower is high. Before the distractions show up. Before your brain starts looking for ways to escape. Here's why this works. You stop carrying mental weight all day. You start the day with a win that actually matters. You build trust with yourself. I said I'd do it, and I did. That trust becomes confidence. And that confidence turns into consistency. Hashtag your schedule is a reflection of your values. You say you want to grow. to lead, to level up. But your calendar starts with admin tasks and ends with YouTube rabbit holes? That's a mismatch. The truth is simple. What you do first reveals what you value most. If you value comfort, you'll do what's easy first. If you value growth, you'll do what's hard first. Growth lives in discomfort. And the first hour of your day is your daily test. Pass it, and you win the day. Fail it, and the day slips through your fingers. Break the cycle of, I'll do it later. Here's how the cycle works. 1. You avoid the hard thing. 2. You feel guilty for avoiding it. 3. That guilt lowers your energy. 4. That low energy makes the task feel even harder. 5. You avoid it again. Break that cycle by reversing it. 1. You do the hard thing first. 2. You feel proud. 3. That pride boosts your energy. 4. That energy fuels more action. 5. You end the day with momentum. It's not magic. It's design. You don't need to feel motivated. You just need to start with what matters most. Even if it's messy. Even if it's imperfect. Even if you're scared. Action first. Emotion later. Most people wait to feel ready before they act. High performers act before they feel ready. Because they understand that clarity comes after action. Not before it. They know that motion beats motivation. That starting creates confidence. That discomfort is a sign they're doing something worthwhile, not a signal to stop. So the next time you hesitate, remember, you don't need to feel like doing it. You just need to do it. Let the habit build the emotion, not the other way around. Make it a rule. What matters comes first. Here's a simple, life-changing rule. Before I check my phone, before I open email, before I talk to the world, I do one task that moves my life forward. Even if it's small. Even if it only takes 15 minutes. Even if you don't finish the whole thing. That rule, enforced daily, will quietly rebuild your entire life. Because it shifts your identity from I react to life to I lead my life. You can't win the day in the afternoon. By the time the afternoon rolls around, your energy is lower. Your brain is cluttered. Your focus is fractured. That's reality. So stop trying to win the day at 4 p.m. Win it at 7 a.m. Win it when you still have control. When your attention is still yours. When the world hasn't pulled you away from your path. Because here's
Hi, this is just a quick moment. If this audiobook is helping you in any way, please consider subscribing to this channel. It really helps me keep creating powerful stories like this, ones that make us pause, reflect, and grow stronger. A simple like, a comment, or sharing this with one friend can make a real difference. Not just for the channel, but for someone who might desperately need this message today. So thank you for being here. Let's keep building something meaningful together. Now, back to the journey.
more pressure. But often, the real breakthrough isn't in what you add, it's in what you subtract. What you remove from your life matters just as much as what you build. Because no matter how well designed your system is, it can't carry the weight of everything. Growth isn't just a process of expansion, it's a process of elimination. Until you start cutting away the things that drain your energy, distract your focus, and weaken your discipline, all your plans will keep collapsing under invisible pressure. This is the brutal part of growth. But it's also the part that frees you. The hidden weaknesses that keep you stuck. Most people can't figure out why they're stuck. They assume they need more motivation, more information, or a better system. But the real issue? They're dragging too much dead weight. Habits they know are destructive, but haven't cut. Relationships that drain their energy, but they keep entertaining. Environments that feed distraction, but they never redesign. Excuses that sound reasonable, but kill progress. These aren't small things. They're anchors. And no amount of trying harder can outrun them. You don't need more hustle. You need fewer weights. You need to stop trying to fix the engine while keeping the flat tires. You need to stop sprinting toward growth while carrying what's slowly killing your momentum. Hashtag energy leaks create life leaks. Look closely at how you feel on the days you don't make progress. Tired even if you didn't do much? Foggy even after sleep? Anxious even though nothing bad is happening? That's not a mystery. That's leaked energy. And it almost always traces back to something you should have removed a long time ago: the toxic friend. The open browser tabs full of distraction. The cluttered SPAC. That signals chaos. The screen time habit that poisons your focus. The just one more episode lie you tell yourself at midnight. And here's the brutal truth: what you tolerate becomes your standard. Keep tolerating weakness, and it becomes part of who you are. Keep living in denial, and it becomes your normal. And when weakness becomes normal, strength becomes impossible. Hashtag you don't need more, you need less screen time. Less chaos in your environment. Less time with energy-draining people. Less emotional clutter. Less tolerance for just this once behaviors. Instead of adding 5 new productivity tools, delete the app that's stealing 2 hours a day. Instead of writing a 90-day plan, throw away the habits that keep breaking your 24-hour focus. Instead of building another new system, eliminate the triggers that always lead to failure. Simplicity is strength. When your life is too cluttered, your mind becomes chaotic. And a chaotic mind cannot stay disciplined. Hashtag make a stop doing list. You've made enough to-do lists. Now it's time for a stop doing list. This is where real growth begins. Ask yourself, what behaviors always leave me feeling worse? What routines drain my energy, not restore it? What do I keep telling myself I'll cut soon? Now write them down. Name them. Confront them. Then, cut one of them. Today. Not later. Not when I'm ready. Now. If you're not ready to eliminate it completely, create friction. Put your phone in another room during work hours. Block the websites you can't stop checking. Unfollow the accounts that trigger comparison. Say no to the invitation that you know derails your goals. You don't need perfection. You need progress. You need proof that you can say no to things that weaken you, even if they're comfortable. Hashtag build a life that doesn't need constant willpower. If you constantly need willpower to stay on track, it's not a character flaw, it's a design flaw. It means you're allowing too many silent saboteurs to stay in your life. That's why you feel drained. Not because you're weak, but because your environment, habits, and inputs are silently eroding your focus. Here's the rule: remove the thing once. Never have to resist it again. Example. Delete the social media app. No more 2-hour doom scroll. Toss the junk food. No more nightly negotiation with your willpower. Stop entertaining toxic conversations. No more wasted emotional energy. This isn't extreme. This is intelligent design. This is self-respect in action. Hashtag weakness isn't always loud. It's often subtle. Not every distraction looks like a crisis. Sometimes weakness wears the mask of just relaxing, taking a break, checking in on people, staying informed. But deep down, you know the difference. You know when something restores your soul, and when it slowly poisons your potential. Stop lying to yourself. Growth begins when the lies stop. Hashtag you can't outwork the wrong inputs. You could be the most focused person in the world. But if you're feeding your mind trash, tolerating chaos, and surrounding yourself with noise, your system will still fail. What you allow is more powerful than what you plan. So clean house. Internally. Digitally. Environmentally. Emotionally. Cut what doesn't support the version of you you're trying to build. Not in a month. Now. This is how you get your power back. Not by adding, but by subtracting. Hashtag one clean day can change everything. You don't need to change your whole life today. You just need one clean day. No junk food. No doom scrolling. No distractions. No bending your own rules. One day where you lead your time. Where you follow your structure. where you remove what weakens you before it breaks you. Because once you feel what that kind of clarity feels like, you'll never want to go back. You'll realize peace is a byproduct of removal. Discipline becomes easier when you're not constantly tempted. Confidence grows when you stop living in internal contradiction. That's the kind of strength people notice, but can't explain. Because it doesn't come from what you say. It comes from what you've let go of. It's easy to be disciplined when people are cheering. It's easy to stick to your habits when someone is holding you accountable. It's easy to do the right thing when there's applause, pressure, or attention. But real strength? Real strength is what you do in silence. When no one's watching. When there's no reward. When no one will know if you skip. That's where character is forged. That's where identity is reshaped. That's where average ends and excellence begins. The illusion of public discipline. Social media has convinced people that discipline must be documented. That progress only counts if it's shared. That you're only doing the work if someone knows you're doing the work. But the truth? The reps that change your life are the invisible ones. The moments that matter most won't be seen by anyone. The standards you build in silence become the confidence you carry in public. If your system only works when you're being watched, you're not disciplined, you're performing. And performance fades the moment the audience disappears. But systems built in solitude? Those last forever. What happens when you follow through alone? When you do the right thing without recognition, 3 things happen. 1. Your integrity deepens. You know, you're not faking it. You don't need validation because you're already aligned. Your actions and your identity match. 2. Your confidence rises. You're not seeking approval. You're leading yourself. That trust in your own decisions multiplies your belief in what's possible. 3. Your foundation strengthens when the storm comes, and it will. You won't collapse. You'll have a system to fall back on. Because it wasn't built for the spotlight. It was built for survival. And once you've felt that kind of discipline, the kind that's quiet, consistent, and unshakable, external motivation becomes irrelevant. You don't need to be hyped up. You're already locked in. The test. Will you do it anyway? Will you stick to your habits on the days that feel slow and heavy? Will you follow your schedule when no one would blame you for skipping? Will you protect your system when you're emotionally drained? These are the questions that shape your future. Because anyone can follow a system on the good days. But the ones who change their lives are the ones who stay locked in on the dull days. The unglamorous ones. The days with no adrenaline. No praise. No payoff. Just you, and the decision to follow through. That's the threshold. That's the line that most people refuse to cross. You don't owe the world a performance. You don't have to prove anything to anyone. You're not here to impress. You're here to execute. Not for followers. Not for recognition. Not for likes. But because you said you would. And that kind of commitment, internal, quiet, relentless, is rare. It's also magnetic. People may not see every habit, every journal page, every quiet workout. But they will feel your discipline. In your energy. In your eyes. In your tone, posture, and results. Discipline makes noise, even when you don't say a word. Train yourself to show up without applause. This is a mental muscle. And like any muscle, it grows through repetition. Here's how to train it. 1. Pick one daily habit you'll do alone. No posting. No telling anyone. Just do it. 2. Track it privately. Create a streak. But don't share it. Let it be yours. 3. Don't break the chain even if you feel off. Even if you don't see results. Show up anyway. 4. Reflect every 7 days. Ask, did I keep my word when no one was checking? 5. Celebrate internally. Don't look for praise. Look for proof that you're becoming someone reliable. Remove the need for external pressure. Systems should be designed to support you, not control you. The best system isn't the one that looks good. It's the one that works in the dark. When motivation is gone. When you're not feeling creative. When there's no one to check your progress. That's when you know the system is solid. You don't panic. You don't spiral. You just follow the plan. Because the plan doesn't care about your feelings. It cares about your future. And you're done letting feelings dictate your fate. Your standards are built in private. The way you live when no one's watching becomes the way you perform when everyone is. If you're sloppy in secret, you'll be sloppy in public. If you're consistent behind closed doors, you'll be unstoppable under pressure. So raise your standard in silence. Wake up when you said you would, even if you could sleep in. Do the workout, even if it's just 10 minutes. Review your plan, even if you're tired. Stick to your rules, even if no one will ever know. Because you know. And that's enough. Build in isolation. Shine in public. The results people admire, the body, the business, the calm energy, the leadership, they all come from hundreds of unseen choices. Choices you make while everyone else is distracted. Choices you make when you feel invisible. Choices you make for the future you, not for the audience now. You don't need eyes on you to be accountable. Be accountable to your own standard. Be proud of your invisible effort. Because that effort isn't wasted. It's compounding. Quietly. Powerfully. Most people love setting goals. Few people love reviewing them. Why? Because the review forces you to confront the truth. And truth, especially the honest, unfiltered kind, can be uncomfortable. But here's the reality. You can't improve what you're not willing to examine. You can't grow from what you're not willing to face. This is where 90% of people stop. They work hard, but never pause to measure the work. They stay busy, but never question if that busyness is actually effective. They love intentions. They avoid inspection. But if you're serious about changing your life, you have to sit down, look in the mirror, and ask, is this actually working? And you have to answer with ruthless honesty. No sugarcoating. No soft language. No story. Just results. Because results never lie. Why people avoid the truth. Because the truth exposes the gap. The gap between what you say and what you do. Between who you want to be and who you're currently acting like. And that gap? It hurts. But pain isn't the enemy. Avoiding pain is. Because if you never acknowledge the gap, you'll never build the bridge. You'll keep convincing yourself. I'm working so hard. I just need a little more time. It's not my fault, I've been busy. And all of it might feel true. But feeling true and being true are not the same. Eventually, you must choose, do you want comfort or progress? Because the truth will never make you comfortable. But it will set you free. What a results audit looks like once a week, once a month, whatever cadence you choose, sit down with yourself. Quiet room. No distractions. Just you and your system. And ask these 5 questions. 1. What were my actual results this week/month? Not your effort. Not your plans. What got done? 2. Which actions led to those results? Trace the line between your habits and your outcomes. 3. Where did I waste time, energy, or focus? Be brutal. Name the leaks. 4. Where did I stay consistent? Celebrate this. It's your foundation. 5. If I repeated this exact week 52 times, where would I end up in a year? This is the hardest and most important question. Because it rips away the fantasy and shows you the trajectory. If your answer is, exactly where I am right now, change something. Further behind. Fix it fast. Way ahead, double down. Results over feelings. You may feel like you're doing well. But here's the test. Do the numbers match the feeling? You say you're getting stronger. Has your performance improved? You say you're focused. How many hours did you work without interruption?
Hi, this is just a quick moment. If this audiobook is helping you in any way, please consider subscribing to this channel. It really helps me keep creating powerful stories like this, ones that make us pause, reflect, and grow stronger. A simple like, a comment, or sharing this with one friend can make a real difference. Not just for the channel, but for someone who might desperately need this message today. So thank you for being here. Let's keep building something meaningful together. Now, back to the journey.
Use it? Do you blame something else? Or do you own it, adjust, and get back to work? Growth doesn't require perfection. It requires responsibility. That means when you fail, you don't hide. You learn. You pivot. You return to the work, smarter, sharper, and more aware. #track it or trash it. If you're not tracking your key metrics, you're guessing. And guesswork is the enemy of greatness. You don't need a complex dashboard. You just need to answer, did I do what I said I would do? Did it produce the result I expected? If not, why? Write it down. Weekly. Non-negotiable. Because tracking turns effort into evidence. And evidence creates belief. That belief is what fuels long-term action. #you are not your effort. Let go of this myth. If I'm trying hard, I'm succeeding. Effort is important. But if effort doesn't translate into outcomes, something is broken. You don't win because you work hard. You win because you work effectively. So ask yourself, is your system delivering results? Are your routines producing real change? Are your standards rising, or are you just surviving? And if the answer is no, change something. Now. Not next quarter. Not when life slows down. Now. Because time won't wait for you to get serious. #what to do when you're not seeing progress. First, check the inputs. Are you actually doing the work? Every day? Fully focused? Second, check the design. Is your system aligned with your goal? Are your habits leading toward the outcome, or just keeping you busy? Third, check the lag. Some results take time. But here's the key: consistency plus correction equals breakthrough. If you're consistent and not seeing results, correct. If you're correcting but not consistent, lock in. When you have both, momentum becomes inevitable. #make review. A ritual review is not a luxury. It's a requirement. It sharpens your thinking. It exposes your blind spots. It reinforces your standards. It prevents wasted weeks, wasted months, and wasted potential. So make it a ritual. And every Sunday with a 30-minute audit. Journal the hard truths. Highlight what worked. Adjust what didn't. Not emotionally. Logically. Like a surgeon. Like an architect. Like a leader. Because that's who you are now. #your system is only as good as your honesty. You can have the perfect planner. You can have the smartest habits. But if you're not willing to be honest with yourself, painfully, precisely honest, your system will fail. Every time. So stop hiding behind hope. Stop hiding behind effort. Look at the scoreboard. It doesn't lie. And it doesn't care how you feel about it. It just reflects the truth. Your job is to respond to that truth with action, not emotion. Because results don't come from good intentions. They come from good systems, reviewed with brutal honesty, and refined with bold decisions. This isn't just about building habits. This isn't just about getting results. This is about becoming someone different. Someone solid. Someone who doesn't fold under pressure. Someone who doesn't look for motivation, because they run on something stronger. That something is identity. Because when everything else fades, when plans break, when emotions shift, when life punches you in the face, identity is what holds the line. You don't rise to the level of your goals. You fall to the strength of your identity. And that identity? You don't find it. You build it. With small choices. Daily proof. And a quiet refusal to break. #who are you without the mask? Strip away the goals. Strip away the social media posts. Strip away the performance. Who are you, alone in a room, when nothing is working? That's your real identity. And if you don't like it, you don't need to fake a better one. You need to become it. You need to prove it to yourself. Over and over. In silence. In difficulty. In the dark. Because identity is forged, not fantasized. Identity is a choice, not a trait. You weren't born disciplined or lazy. You weren't born consistent or chaotic. Those are patterns, not personalities. And patterns can be rewritten. So ask yourself, what kind of person follows through every day? What kind of person does hard things without applause? What kind of person builds systems that last? Then, be that person before you feel like it. Act as if. Move as if. Live as if. Until one day, you look in the mirror and realize, this is who I am now. Hashtag the identity feedback loop. Here's how it works. 1. You take action even when you don't feel like it. 2. You get results even if they're small. 3. You prove something to yourself. I can do this. 4. You reinforce your identity. This is who I am. 5. You repeat until your default setting is unshakable discipline. Most people live the opposite loop. They skip the action. They feel disappointed. They doubt themselves. They identify as someone who can't stay consistent. They repeat that failure cycle. Break the loop. Build a new one. With one small action. Today. Hashtag when you make a promise, keep it. That's how you become unstoppable. Not by doing massive things, but by keeping micro promises. I said I'd wake up at 6, so I did. I said I'd write 1 page, so I did. I said no junk food today, so I didn't. These tiny decisions send a loud message to your brain. I am someone who follows through. That message echoes. It builds confidence. It hardens your edge. It separates you from the version of yourself that used to break under pressure. Hashtag stop negotiating with the old you. The old you had a voice. That voice still whispers. Skip today, it's not a big deal. You've been good lately, you deserve to slack off. You'll get serious tomorrow. But here's the truth, the old you doesn't get a vote anymore. That voice doesn't belong to your future. It belongs to the you that gave up. Scrolled endlessly. Broke every promise. Lived in excuses. And you're not taking that version forward. So when that voice shows up, don't argue. Don't reason. Just act. Move in silence. Execute on command. You don't owe your past a conversation. You owe your future a new level. Make discipline your default. When discipline is your identity, everything changes. You don't skip because you're tired. You don't fold because you're bored. You don't need external hype. You are the hype. People will wonder how you stay so consistent. They'll ask, how do you do it? And you won't have a flashy answer. Because there is no secret. Just systems. Just standards. Just repetition. Over. And over. Quietly. Without drama. Because you stopped chasing motivation. And you started chasing mastery. Hashtag from trying to being. Stop saying, I'm trying to get consistent. I'm trying to change. I'm trying to be better. And start saying, I'm a disciplined person. I'm someone who gets it done. I'm someone who finishes what I start. Don't say it with fake confidence. Say it with evidence. Say it because you've stacked the proof. Say it because you earned it. Hashtag when it's hard, lean in. The old you runs when things get difficult. The new you? You show up harder. You lean into the pain. You rise when most people would rest. Because this isn't about convenience. This is about evolution. You're becoming the kind of person who doesn't flinch at pressure. Doesn't chase feelings. Doesn't stop when it's boring, slow, or lonely. You are replacing reaction with control. You are training yourself to lead. And you are earning a future that lazy effort could never touch. Hashtag this is your new standard. You don't go back. You don't reset every Monday. You don't talk about change, you live it. Every day. Through your habits. Through your system. Through your quiet, relentless action. Because you've seen what happens when you quit. Now you want to see what happens when you don't. You want to know what's possible when you stay locked in for a year. 2 years. A lifetime. You don't want hype anymore. You want transformation. And now you have the blueprint. Hashtag the final truth: there is no perfect system. There is no perfect day. There is only this: a person who shows up anyway. A person who doesn't quit when it's inconvenient. A person who leads themselves, every single day. That person? That's you now. Not someday. Now.
You made it to the end. That says everything about the kind of person you are: driven, focused, and ready to build a life that truly matters. If this audiobook moved you, please subscribe to the channel. It's the best way to support these messages, and it helps me create more powerful audiobooks like this one. There's a full playlist waiting for you, packed with motivation, discipline, and stories that will keep you going when things get tough. So don't stop here. Click the playlist, keep growing, and share this with someone who needs it today. From my heart, thank you for listening. We're just getting started.